informative, this database with all these figures. Certainly something to check. Our next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, is Mr. Regin Jacobsen. He represents Bakkafrost, and he's been the CEO of Bakkafrost since 1989. He has a graduation in business administration and accounting, and before being CEO, he was also the financial manager of Bakkafrost. He'll certainly explain to us what the company does. The title was quite inspiring. It said, the Faroese fairy tale. Now, I don't know about English, but in Dutch, it could mean two things. A fairy tale could be something which is made up and not true at all. Or it could be a dream come true. Now, let's see which one of the two it is.
Thank you very much. Minister, ladies and gentlemen, and your excellencies, thank you for the invitation. I'm sorry that I don't have as impressive CV as the previous speaker, because I've only been at Bakkafrost for the last 40 years. And I am happy to present our operations here today and what we have been doing all these 40 years. My father established the company 50 years ago, and this has been a very interesting journey for us. In 1979, the small village of Glyvrar, Faroe Islands, you could see a small dinghy anchored at the pier. This was our first vessel to feed and harvest our salmon. Bakkafrost only had around 5 to 10 fish farming pens, and the salmon was gutted directly from a bucket. Everything was done manually, and the production quantities were very low. Today at the same pier, our biggest 75-meter wellboat named Hansabakka is delivering live salmon from our farms around the Faroe Islands to our state-of-the-art processing facility. She carries up to 450 tons of live salmon every day, and the magnitude of the development over these years are difficult to understand. Today we have around 30 land and sea farming sites spread around in the Faroe Islands, and we employ around 1,000 people. This is equivalent to around 4% of the whole Faroese workforce. In addition, our newly acquired Scottish operation employs around 700 people and has a significant impact in rural areas on the west coast of Scotland and the Outer Hebrides. In the aquaculture industry, we are proud of creating meaningful jobs, often in remote locations. This creates great values for the local communities. At Bakkafrost, we are fortunate to have highly talented and motivated people, and we acknowledge that in order to achieve our vision and meet our strategic objectives, probably the most important is to have capable and engaged workforce, which are committed to our core values. Our salmon farming journey since 1979 has certainly been an exciting and remarkable since our only vessel was a red dinghy. The value chain is very much in focus for Bakkafrost. To combine growth with risk mitigation and high efficiency is crucial. To control and manage the whole value chain has been a key for us. Fish meal, fish oil, the local raw materials are one of the keys for our products. Having the longest value chain in the industry gives us a unique opportunity both to create huge value at low cost throughout the value chain, but it also has given us a unique opportunity to ensure all our operations are carried out responsibly and sustainably. Broodstock and feed together contribute to differentiate our products in the marketplace, and our extended value chain creates a powerful platform for marketing products to conscious consumers who nowadays demand transparency, traceability, and sustainability. This is key to create the highest value for both the customer, the society, and shareholders. Circularity is the new sustainability. Bakkafrost established the company Faroese 2 years ago to start biogas operation in the Faroe Islands. This operation has recently started and will minimize impact on nature and improve the sustainable value chain, focusing on using every part of the fish to minimize waste. It hasn't always been a fairy tale in the Faroese salmon farming industry, though. Systematic risks of biological issues and market disruptions, aggravated by fragmented industry in the past, threaten the health of the Faroese salmon industry. The consolidation of the industry from 63 companies in 1989 to 3 companies in 2017 has made it possible to coordinate biological improvements, to ensure effective cooperation with authorities, and to share best practices and knowledge between the industry. During the past 40 years, salmon farmers have been through possibly the greatest revolution of any food production in history. In the 80s, we were entrepreneurs, developers, innovators, and probably mostly dreamers. We dreamt about producing excellent products that everybody loved, creating local jobs, about contributing to local societies, about converting offcuts from our primary operation, which was pelagic operation, to high and healthy quality salmon products. And we also dreamt about building nice facilities, creating good working facilities where our staff thrived and worked together in creating the best salmon in the world. For many, the dream went into a nightmare. Most went bankrupt and lost almost everything, and the dream went crushed. But from the ashes, the beauty arose. When all structures were wiped out and the crisis was inevitable, it was possible to restructure the system. The unique Faroese veterinary system was introduced in 2003, which brought strict regulation, tightened control, and promoted voluntary segregation of farming sites and operations. This had a revolutionary impact on fish health and welfare and standards across the Faroes, which combined with additional company efforts not only increased the survival rates of the fish from 70 to over 90% from 2004 to 10, but it also increased the harvest weights of the Faroese salmon by over 20%. Over the same period, there were decreases in feed conversion rates and improvements in productivity by more than 40%. Up to 2005, Faroese salmon farmers had the worst KPIs in the industry. We turned our unique remote geographical location in the middle of the North Atlantic into a competitive advantage to produce products known for its world-class quality, converting a disadvantage into an advantage. And we managed to create processes that utilized the unique conditions in the Faroe Islands with strong sea current and stable sea temperatures that never reached below 6 degrees in the winter and above 11 in the summer. And we managed to transform the industry from worst in class to best in class consistently over the last 10 years. Our focus on a high inclusion of marine raw materials in feed and from local sources increases nutritional value of marine raw materials in feed from local sources. It increases the natural value and gives a higher sustainable approach. Using local marine raw materials from a feed from local sources is important for transparency and the value chain. We believe having a high inclusion from these ingredients is more environmentally sustainable with a comparatively low demand on fresh water and land for production. When we compare with plant proteins, we reduce the transportation as well. It's been meaningful for our socio-economic impact for the Faroese society. Salmon has a very low feed conversion rate. Last year, we managed to bring the FCR in our operations down to 1.12 for 1 kilo salmon produced. Throughout our journey, we have remained committed to international best practices through collaboration and certification. In 2010, we became the first feed factory to receive Global GAP certification. In 2013, we became a founding member of the Global Salmon Initiative, and in 2015, we became the first Faroese company to get ASC Chain of Custody certification. In 2017, our meal and oil division received MSC Chain of Custody certification, and in 2019, we doubled our number of sites certified against ASC standards. And we expect to reach 100% ASC certification by the end of this year. As well as our ongoing commitment to third-party accreditation, we are also investing heavily in our new innovations to decarbonize our economy. Last year, our biogas business, Faroese, won the Faroese Business Initiative 2019, and the new plant will process waste from salmon and dairy farms into fertilizers and renewable energy, contributing to the national grid to helping them reach their target to become 100% renewable by 2030. We are also really proud to have been announced as a finalist at Eddie's Sustainable Leaders Award 2020 at the Sustainable Reporting and Communications category for 2018 Healthy Living Sustainably report. In 2018, we published our first sustainability report, where we lay the foundation for our strategic sustainability operations for the future. And since then, we have increased transparency every year, for example, by signing up to the Ocean Disclosure Project. Communicating our processes and challenges openly and honestly has not only helped us to increase our focus internally, but also increased our engagement with customers who are increasing their orders with us, and also employees, which in our most recent employee survey reported that they believe we were taking responsibility for our role in addressing the UN Sustainable Development Goals seriously. We have also substantially improved our ESG ratings, where we also are delighted to be named among the best performers in the Coller FAIR Protein Producer Index, which ranked the world's largest listed protein producers on sustainability. We are recognized as the best performing aquaculture company for not using antibiotic for more than 20 years and providing transparency in the composition of our feed. We will be launching our next sustainability report next week, so please look out for that. Our socio-economic impact in the Faroe Islands is also considerable and has grown over the years. As the largest private employer in the Faroe Islands, accounting for around 30 to 40% of the whole export from the country, we recognize that it's a great importance we as a salmon farming company have for the Faroese economy. Many families are depending on the income they get from working for us, so we have a huge impact and a responsibility for local communities. This is also one of the beauties with working with salmon farming, that we can create value in rural areas for the country and where there often are few options for employment. Because of this great impact, it's vital for us to continue our focus on sustainable development and to continue operations in the future. Therefore, we are setting new ambitious goals for the future. And that's what we are focusing very much on the moment. The role we can play in addressing some of the biggest challenges for society. We know that the Earth goes through some vital changes regarding massive population growth and climate changes, and this provides us with the dilemma that we must produce more food to feed the growing population, and that the production of food must be done with less carbon emission than today. We are 7.8 billion people, and in 2015, UN expects us to be around 9.7 billion. And to illustrate this, by the end of this speech, we are 3,000 people more than when I started the speech. So thus, the demand for dense food is growing rapidly. The current food system with insufficient water supplies, insufficient arable land, and improvements in productivity is still growing. Climate change stressors cannot solve this dilemma. We believe that salmon aquaculture can play a vital role and be a part of the solution of this dilemma. Salmon farming is the most resource-efficient animal protein in the planet, with an extremely efficient feed conversion, low use of fresh water, and minimal carbon footprint. Especially farmed salmon from the Atlantic performs well on these parameters. So we are proud to have such an opportunity and to be in one of the leading companies setting out the course for the future with responsible, sustainable growth. I believe there are many similar fairy tales along the North Atlantic coastline describing big dreams dreamt by the founders of the industry some 40 to 50 years ago. There might be some between us here. Many dreams were broken, but some were successful and became real fairy tales with a successful development. The transformation of the industry into a matured phase largely mitigated the risk of the operation. For example, if you look at the marketplace, the risk came down. The variety of products produced in the marketplace today for consumers is very high. We constantly develop new products, and we develop new markets. The market segments are open for salmon continuously. Salmon has truly been converted into a global product. Availability is important to grow products, and I'm sure this has been one of the key for salmon. I remember dealing with a supermarket chain in the early 90s that their biggest concern was if we were able to guarantee them a consistent supply of same quality products every week of the year. Today, the questions and the concerns from supermarkets are of a different character. This creates big value for everyone in the marketplace. We could go through many similar examples, but this has truly been one of the drivers for the salmon fairy tale. During the past 10 years, we have seen global constraints evolved in line with higher regulated salmon farming industries in all regions. The transformation of the whole industry has evolved during the past 10 years and is today a driver for new development. The industry needs to match the demand growth in the world, and especially the demand growth for healthy, high-quality proteins. For sure, we see crazy ideas from dreamers. There are some that will fail and create big frustrations, but some will turn into successes, which will contribute to the growth of future food production in the Blue Revolution. However, the industry is not capable to deliver the needed growth and supply to the market. The supply growth seems to be limited to around 4% compounded annual growth for the next 5 years. So therefore, we need all good projects to be able to deliver more salmon to the market. Because of lack of availability of fjords for traditional salmon farming, the supply growth needs to come from new processing techniques and investments that was not financially possible 10 years ago. I believe the whole industry now makes investments every year around 15 to 25 billion Norwegian kroner. And I guess that over the next 10 years, the industry will make investments of around 250 billion Norwegian kroner with the current level. The FAO expects the world to need 70% more food production by 2050 to feed the world population. Salmon will certainly be part of the solution to provide sustainably produced food. Land-based, offshore, and several other farming operations will be part of the future. The growth is linked to population growth, economic growth, new geographical markets, new products, and certainly also the trend of healthy food. Circularity in food production is inevitable and has to be used as a possibility in salmon farming. Even though the demand for salmon increases, we must be smart and keep in mind that we must create growth through sustainability and not despite of it. For us at Bakkafrost, it is of vital importance that all future investments must contribute to an even more sustainable value chain and production. We cannot afford to compromise with our responsibility to carry out all operations sustainably, neither economically nor environmentally. We must treat nature with great care and respect when we use it as a platform for producing food. Looking for the future, the salmon industry is actually a good place to be. We are continuously seeing rising demand for nutrition-dense food with lots of potential to carry out our operations sustainably. To increase our supply of healthy, sustainable food from feeding 50 million people every day, the industry in 10 years from now is probably going to feed more than 100 million people every day, and that's certainly what we can do in the salmon farming industry within the next 10 years. Thank you very much.